In my quest to leave a mark on the culture and make hip-hop proud, I'd like to welcome you all to another episode of The Essence. I am your host, KB Tyndall, and this Essence is presented by Tent TV and powered by Validated Magazine. Now, back in 2019, after briefly meeting this Armenian brother and seeing him perform at Chris Webby's Raw Thoughts tour at the Mint in LA, I decided to ask him for an interview. What transpired between us was a collective of questions and answers that turned out to become almost a 9,000-word interview entitled Deeper Than Rap. It enlightened me to this man's persona, his path to being a lead MC while carrying the torch for the forefathers that came before him in the MC space of the culture. It showed me a lot about his quest to consistently bring awareness to the Armenian genocide that took place in 1915, where 1.5 million Armenians were slaughtered in their Anatolian homeland, which is now known as Turkey. Now, not only is he a student of hip-hop culture, raised on the greats like Nas and Eminem and Wu-Tang, but he's also holds a doctorate degree from UCLA, and he's a pharmacist that actually owns pharmacies. He owns a clothing store, and he's got his own clothing line called the Pentagon LA. And today he is here with me to talk about his newest project, M.E.A.N, which is produced entirely by the legendary Scott Storch. It boasts a slew of features from Nas to Offset, Quavo, YG, Method Man, Jeremih, French Montana, and more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to this episode of The Essence, the most dedicated craftsman in hip-hop, the one and only, M.E.A.N.
My brother, appreciate that intro, bro. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for taking the time out, bro. You know,
Of course.
it's been a minute since we spoke, man. You know what I mean? Like the last interview we did was real deep. It was the first time I got to, kick it with you, man, and just get a little bit of, insight of who you are, man. You've been cooking up this project M.E.A.N for a while, Why did you decide to title it M.E.A.N?
Once I started working on this project with Scott Storch, first of all, like when I had the opportunity to work with him, I felt like, I knew this was a real opportunity for me to like elevate my music. You know what I'm saying? Because I always felt like, I was always nice as an MC. I always had joints. I had some really dope projects, but I knew this was an opportunity to elevate to the next level because that production, I personally felt like I was always missing the right sound and the right production. You know what I mean? So once we started working and I started realizing like, yo, this man, Scott Storch, can really do it all at the highest level. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he's known as a hit maker, and that's what he always wants to do. He wants to make hits, but he also, really delivered on all the hip hop joints and the type of shit that I'm really into, the introspective, the storytelling and all that. So once we were kind of deep into the project, I felt like it was a real representation of me as far as like, I'm doing the real me, the deep personal joints and all that, the lyrical joints, but then I also got like slappers, like real bangers, you know what I mean? That I kind of previously in my career never was able to get at this level. And I feel like mainly it comes back to the production. And of course, some of those features really helped. So, I wanted to make it really autobiographical, and everybody calls me M.E.A.N, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to overthink this one. I felt like this is almost like a reintroduction or introduction of me to the people. Let's keep it simple and just call it M.E.A.N. But of course, the lyricist in me still had to take it, one step further, and I made it an acronym. It stands for manifest everything, avoid negativity. Meaning, it's really two parts to that. Avoiding negativity has really been the key to a lot of great things happening to me in my life. You know what I'm saying? Cutting out the negative energy. But manifesting everything is like, I really manifested this project. You know what I'm saying? It's a massive project for an independent artist like me, even to have Scott Storch produce it, to have someone like Nas on there. That was like a real manifestation, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how the title came about.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I'm gonna jump right into it, man. You see the fit, Illmatic, New York, Nas, all day. You did a mixtape a long time ago, and I heard you tell this story briefly, but I want you to just tell me it, so our listeners can get the vibe off of it. You did a mixtape a while back. I believe it was titled Nas and M.
Yeah.
You did a song called Letter to the King where you actually spoke to Nas and them in the verses. How did the link up between you and Nas happen? And on the end of that, what was it finally like to get the God to feature on the song Cradle of the Devil with you on the new project, Me?
It's crazy, bro. Really, really surreal experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a huge Nas fan. For as long as I can remember, he's always been my favorite rapper. You know, if I had to pick, like you said, I did a mixtape, kind of to my two biggest influences. I always call them Nas and M. Of course, there's more, but if I really had to pick, so one day I was like, "Yo, let me just do like a mixtape, just rapping on their beats." You know what I'm saying? Just the MC and me wanted to do it really just out of love. This was like 2016. Not a lot was going on in my career. I was kind of in front of a brick wall. So I was like, let me just do what I love. You know what I'm saying? And I put that together. And really last minute, as the last song, I decided to add like an actual tribute. The other songs was just rapping on their beats. You know what I'm saying? So I did the song called Letter to the King. Like you said, first verse, I'm talking to Nas. Second verse, I'm talking to M. And, you know, I come from that cloth of like, you know, giving what's it called, props, and giving acknowledging the forefathers and the legends. You know what I'm saying? Like Nas has songs about like Rakim and them. He always mentioned, you know what I mean? That's Eminem always gives that to everybody. So that's kind of the type of artist I am too. So, you know, I just did that and I put it out. And that song specifically got a lot of love just online. All the blogs picked it up and stuff. Two Dope Boys, Pop. So then we went out and shot a little video for it. Went to Queensbridge, then went to Detroit for the second verse, and we put it out, and that was that, you know. And a good like 3 years and some change later, Nas happens to walk into Cookies on Melrose. You know, Cookies, the dispensary out here in LA. You know, shout out to Burner and everybody. So I linked up with Burner really through his partners, my brothers Alex and Mike, that are partners in the Cookies brand, as well as like a lot of other cannabis brand. They mass big in the cannabis world, you know what I mean? So that specific location, Melrose, they own it with Burner. So, you know, a lot of it's in West Hollywood, so a lot of celebrities and artists and people like that come over there, but nobody expects Nas to just walk in. You know what I'm saying? On a random day, Nas just walks in as a customer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, you know, my man Alex is over there and he welcomes them. And mind you, in the beginning, I've been trying to get this song to Nas and to like, you know, but I don't have no connections, no ties to him whatsoever, right? I'm trying to follow people that's part of his team. You know, I tried it all. None of it worked. So, you know, again, years later, he walks in the Cookies and my man Alex is there. So he welcomes him and he's like, yo, with all due respect, there's this one song you really need to hear. And he said Nas was mad cool about it. So he let him hear the song Letter to the King. I don't know any of this is happening. So out of nowhere, I get a FaceTime from my man Alex's phone and I pick up and it's Nas. Nas is holding the phone. You know what I'm saying? And oh, shit.
Yeah.
Straight up. I said, oh, shit. He's like, what's up, bro? I just heard that song, you know? And I'm like, what song? Like in that moment, it didn't even click because, again, it was 3 years old. I thought I had just started working with Scott Storch. I thought maybe they played him some of my new shit. I didn't, you know what I mean? He's like, the one you did for Me.E.N. I'm like, oh, word. I'm like, I'm so happy you finally heard it. He's like, nah, that shit did something to me right now. And he's pointing at his chest, you know what I'm saying? And then we just chopped it up a little bit, told him that I just started working on this project with Scott Storch. And yo, he's like, yo, I'm gonna give my math to your man over here. Let's stay connected. 3 days later, he came to the studio at Scott Storch's house and we did the whole song together on the spot. You know what I mean? So
that's great. That's
crazy story. And I always say that was the happiest day of my life, but like specifically because obviously I was in the studio with Nas, but also because the song came out so incredible. Like as far as like what I always wanted to do with him, you know what I'm saying? It was like exactly what I had always imagined. You know, Scott Storch, you know, he creates the beat on the spot. It's not like I had a record ready for him to jump on. You know, usually when you have a feature, you know, you make the song, you know it's fire, and then you hit up the big feature and try to get him on it, you know? With him, it was like I had nothing ready, and it happened so fast. So we had to like really deliver on the spot. So you know, Scott Storch was in top form. He, you know, our visions aligned, everything aligned, and the song came out crazy. So yeah,
that's crazy. That's a crazy story. Like you put it in the air, you did everything you could do to make it happen, and out of nowhere,
Exactly.
It happens like that. Like that's organic right there.
Most unexpected way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
after he hit
definitely.
me up, I still didn't necessarily, I still didn't think that means he's gonna work with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Because
right, right.
how many, unsigned or up and coming artists do you know that have a song with Nas? Only the ones that signed to him. You know what I mean? There's been a few less
Yeah.
people, but I don't really, only big artists. And even, I've been getting hit up by a lot of people like, yo, people know Nas for 20 years, they didn't get that verse. I'm like, I know,
Mm.
it's crazy, it's special. I definitely feel blessed. So peace to
That
the
says a lot.
God.
Yeah, no doubt. Peace to the God. Definitely, definitely. um, any kind of word? I know you're working on trying to get that M feature.
No, that's another person that I don't really have no connects like that. You know what I'm saying? There's been, some talks years ago with him, but like, yeah, nah, I have no idea. That's another thing. I just put it out in the universe. But of course, that's one of the next goals as far as collaborations go. Hopefully we'll make
Absolutely,
that dream happen too. You know what I mean? But I'm just focused
absolutely,
on this album right now, and we'll see where it goes.
definitely, definitely. Um, so I know you dropped Yalla Habibi a while back with French Montana. You dropped King James with Jeremih a while back as well. What made you want to go with one cohesive sound with Scott Storch for the production of the whole album?
It really just started as me doing like one song with him. And then I was
Mhm.
like, man, this dude, I feel like he's the one for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, I was always kind of looking for that. Working with random producers is cool. And right now I feel like I have a good team of like a couple in-house producers that kind of match the Scott Storch sound. But I felt like he was really the one. But he's not cheap and I didn't have that relationship yet at the time. So I kind of like left it alone. And then through my business partners in the cannabis world, we kind of got reintroduced a couple
Right.
years after the first time I worked with him, and they was like, yo, like, we don't want to just come and buy a beat off you. Like, this is really our guy, you know what I mean? And they, in the Armenian community, I've been known and I've been getting a lot of support for many years now. So they was really like, yo, our people got his back. Like, we really want to work. And we worked it out, you know what I'm saying? And it started from doing a couple songs to doing a whole project. And, it's just so cohesive when you have like one, obviously a producer at that level, but just when you have one producer really curate the sound,
Right, right.
it just feels more like a project, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, we started working right before the pandemic. So then the pandemic hit and we stopped and it took a while before we started again. And like, so it's been a few years in the making. And that's why, I was sitting on a few songs for a while already. So I let King James go first because King James was killing it a couple years ago. We won the championship when it was in the bubble and stuff. And I'm
Yep.
like, yo, there's no better time. I got to drop this song right now, And then
Right, right.
last year we dropped the joint with French. I was actually trying to roll out the album last year, but a few things held it up again. So after I dropped that single, we held back again. And then now finally was the right time to drop the full project. But that's why those two, because they've been out already for a while, I added them
Mhm.
as like bonus tracks on the album. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Well, let me say, man, the project has got it's loaded with dope joints. You know what I mean? People they gotta go check the project out. It's called M.E.A.N. It's on all platforms right now.
Sir.
Triumph is a dope intro.
Hell yeah.
Of course, Candle of the Devil with Nas, TBS with Offset and DB Bantino, Downfall and Sativa Mamacita with Angel Hill,
Yep.
Charles Barkley with YG, Yes Sir, featuring Quavo, Lonely Day, Overnight, and Circus with Method Man and Kabaka Pyramid. Now, those are all dope tracks, so I'm giving you your accolades there. But I want to say that the elements, if you paying homage on the entire project, like Big and AZ and Jay and Pop, Eminem, those are just dope. The little innuendos and the bars and all that kind of stuff. What I want to talk about though are my two favorite joints. So the first one that I really love is Hope, featuring Haben. Is that how you say it, Haben or
Yeah.
Haben?
My bad. There's a plane flying over here. Yeah, she actually goes by Haben. And then
Okay.
some people call me Haben, and then she's like both work. So I guess it's both. She's a singer songwriter that one of my producer homies by the name of Wick's been working with for a long time. And this
Okay.
song that I had written for a while, but I had like a different girl on the hook, and she wanted to redo it, and there was no time and all that. So last minute, I was like, "Yo, I need the right singer for this hook," and he connected me with her, and together we wrote that hook. And I feel like we took it from here to here. You know what I'm saying? Like she really nailed it. And then I added that second verse last minute too, like literally a week before I turned the album in, because that was about the homie that had just passed away a couple months before. You know?
Right. I was gonna say that. Like, you talked about a family member's addiction. And you talked about losing somebody that was a fan that actually became a personal friend and a family member, the cancer. And I'm sorry for your loss on that, first and foremost. I know that the song had to be extremely therapeutic for you, right? And I know how it feels sometimes to be an introvert on most days and kind of stay in that little bubble that we create for ourselves. What was the process for you making that song, and how did it feel after you got it all out of yourself and the track was done?
Yeah, it was definitely a process, So this song was kind of made in like segments. So I came up with the concept of just calling, doing a song called Hope and making it an acronym again, calling it Hold On, Pain Ends. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it had to be inspirational, but at the same time, it had to be, heart wrenching. Like, you know what I mean? Like I felt like I could really hit people in the chest with this if it's done right. So I took the concept of Scott Storch and he created the beat, and really the first verse, which is the story about an addiction in my family, like you said, that was my main vision for the song. At first, it was basically about addiction, depression, trauma, things like that. And I felt like, hope and feeling hopeless and all that goes with that. So that was what the song was. And like a couple weeks before, we were turning in the album, we just listening to the whole thing. And my manager was like, yo, I feel like this one verse is not enough. You know what I'm saying? Like you really, like this song could really be it if you go even deeper. Like, you know what I mean? Like you basically talking about people that are alive, but they kind of dead. And then he started naming all kinds of like friends of ours that have passed away. And then I'm like, nah, it should just be about the one friend that just passed away. You know what I mean? Let's add that verse because he, like you said, he was like a fan, like a real fan from like, very young age. He used to come to all my shows. His name is Joshua. He was only 10 years old. He would come with his moms and with his aunts, and like every show for like the last 10 years, 10 plus years, they were there. So I seen him grow up and we became friends. And then recently we heard he had like a brain tumor and he passed away. So, the family actually asked me to perform at the funeral. I actually mentioned that in the song too, but I ended up not doing it. And then they asked me like, maybe you could do a song or something. And I'm like, let me live with it and fill it out. I don't want to like force these type of things. And then when that idea came to me, I'm saying that to say like, I know the family already gave me their blessing before I even did this song. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to talk about something if the family doesn't want that, but they had already asked me, so I'm like, that might be the move for this song. And then writing, peace, bro. Writing and recording that verse was definitely a struggle. You know what I'm saying?
I bet it was.
But that song has been getting so much feedback. Like you mentioned it as like so many people. You know what I mean? Like most of my messages been about like, yo, that song got me. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a really special song for sure.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that one definitely touched me. Definitely. I kind of like felt your pain coming through the pen on that one.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like one of my main, strengths as an artist is that, you know what I mean? Like I can do the slappers, I can do punchlines and wordplay all day. But when you can really hit someone's heart, you know what I mean? Like when you can make people relate to your pain, that's really what the strength of music is. And like you said, it was therapy to me to make it, and I also know that it's therapy to others to listen to it. So it's like a two-way, street as far as like healing. That's why music is so powerful.
No doubt, definitely. My other favorite joint is The Rising Sun. The big and the AZ scratches is crazy. Scott did his thing on that. You said, so who the fuck is this? The pharmacist with crooked teeth, with lyrics that give life to people that look deceased. Not here to freedom fight, but I speak on my people's plight. I'm here to crucify my demons like I'm Jesus Christ. Hard ass bar right there, first of all. How important was it for you to show yourself unapologetically on the cover of the album, the huge smile, the perfect imperfections that we all have? Like, how important was that for you to do that for yourself and also for your fans?
Yeah, that's really what it was, bro. Like once I realized, like, I think I gotta call this album "M.E.A.N" and just it's just me. You know what I'm saying? My manager Kodo was like, "Yo, if it's called "M.E.A.N," I need you to smile on the cover. I need you to do the opposite of look at me." You know, he's like, let's give them really you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm a happy person at this point. I smile. I don't try to be tough. I don't try, you know what I mean? So let's convey that, and let's convey the flaws, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so we went for it, you know what I'm saying? And that kind of
Yeah.
became a thing, like, why not put it in the bars also? You know what I mean? At that point, while I wrote that verse, I already had the cover done, so I already knew, like, you know what I'm saying? And even the pharmacist thing is like, yo, let them. I'm trying to tell my complete story here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm definitely different than the average rapper. You know what I'm saying? I'm Armenian. I was born in LA, but I was raised in Amsterdam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of influences from different cultures. You know, this immigrant way of upbringing is like, you gotta go to college, you gotta be a doctor, a lawyer. You know what I mean? That's what was ingrained in my brain as a kid from my mom. So that's what I did. I came back to LA when I was 18. I was doing music, but the whole time I'm going to school and I'm trying to juggle both. And you know, eventually you realize, like, yo, if I really want to do this music thing, I got to go all in. You know what I'm saying? So I
Right.
kind of left the pharmacy thing alone. But you know, I got the license and everything. So then now I have side businesses, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I feel like it's important to put all that in the bars, you know? And even the
Yeah.
part about talking about my people's plight is like, you know, my people know I've been talking about, like you mentioned earlier, the Armenian genocide and the history of our people, because I'm kind of the first one in my background to do this hip hop thing at this level and be on these platforms. And I got to represent. And really, it's just a hip hop thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop is the voice of the streets, the voice of the people. So me coming in, I got to tell the story of my people, and I got to be just true to who I am and not try to be nobody else. So, you know, I'm not acting like I'm a freedom fighter, but I got to talk about my people's plight. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That leads me right to the next question. How is the open wounds movement going? And what kind of strides have you made in the last few years, especially when we were, in the pandemic and stuff like that, bringing more awareness to the people about the Armenian genocide? Like what's new on that forefront?
You know, at this point, we started this year was the 10-year anniversary of when we dropped.
Okay.
So we dropped a song called Open Wounds, and we did these t-shirts with it that said our wounds are still open. And basically it kind of started spreading like wildfire really the first couple of years. And that's when, you know, in our community became the biggest thing. But then we started reaching out to all the artists and just people we knew, influencers, and try to give them the shirt and ask them to post it or at least take pictures with it. And we got everybody from like M.E.A.N to Game to Cardi B to Post Malone to DMX, rest in peace. You know what I mean? The list goes on.
Yeah.
It really kind of became a tool to like raise awareness. And, you know, it became a very recognizable like logo, the way we have written our wounds are still open in our community. A lot of people get it tatted. And then what was the most important thing is like people from other communities started reaching out to me like, yo, you know, we relate. It might not be the same exact story, maybe not a genocide, but struggles like genocide, right? Like a lot of people from different backgrounds been through different type of things like that. So yeah, it just became a very powerful tool to like, you know, it's really about crimes against humanity, you know. And every year in April is the commemoration of the Armenian genocide. So especially out in here in LA, it's always a lot of, you know, protests and things like that going on. And you know, I'm still very much in participating and doing my thing, but at the same time I kind of made the mark and now it's all digital, you know what I'm saying? So I
Right.
talk about it a lot when I go on platforms. People like you ask me about it. And this is kind of how I'm still continuing to raise awareness. Of course, the gear and the shirts are still there. It's a nonprofit organization. So we, you know, we do like small scholarships and donate money and things like that. But, you know, a lot of the groundwork of us really grinding and getting the message out has been done at this point for whatever reach I had. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's a part of me now. So everywhere I go, this conversation comes up and we talk about it. You know what I mean?
As it should come up. Definitely. Definitely. So you actually own a pharmacy now, or do you own multiple pharmacies?
I own two right now.
You
So
own two.
hopefully
Was
more
that like
soon.
was that like you just finally saying, let me put this degree to work? I work for this. So let me
Honestly,
put
yeah.
it to work and then also be able to help the community with it.
Yeah, that's really what it was. Cause I came out of school and I started working at like CVS and then Rite Aid, and I hated my life to
Mhm.
be honest. But for the first time ever, first time ever in my life, I was making some decent money. But
Right, right.
after a few months, you kind of used to that level of money, and it's like, it's cool, but like I want to do music, you know what I'm saying? And like
Mhm.
slowly I started realizing like, yo, I gotta, so I stepped away from it for a while. And then a few years back, I, me just as an artist, I've been known in this community for a minute. So it's a lot of just Armenian people in different industries that reach out to me and are like, yo, how can we support? You know what I mean? Like we fuck with you. Even my partners in the cannabis game, that's how it worked. That's how it happened. If I get
Mhm.
sponsorships or things like that, people got my back and I'm super appreciative. So kind of in a way like that, I met my part who's the guys that's my partners in the pharmacy game. They're like, yo, we know you a pharmacist, you know what I mean? We own multiple pharmacies. If you want to partner up, you ain't really got to do much, but we'll use your license. And I'm basically what's called the PIC, pharmacist in charge. You're basically a manager. So I go in
Okay.
maybe once a week if I'm in town. I make sure everything's cool, you know what I mean? But I'm not there running the day-to-day. They handling it for me, you know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
we got like a retail pharmacy and then now what's called a closed door pharmacy, both in Tarzana, California.
Right.
Closed door pharmacies is like we supply facilities like nursing homes, rehab
Okay.
centers, things like that. It's not like you walk in with a prescription. You know what I mean? It's closed to the people. So yeah. So it's been good,
Gotcha.
man. I can't complain. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's good. And you also got the Pentagon LA store. Tell the people about that.
Yeah. Yeah, the Pentagon LA store is really the best way to compare it is like the marathon, you know what I mean? For rest in peace, Nipsey. My whole journey been a marathon. It's been a slow and steady rise over many years. And when you're independent and you're coming up, you gotta find other ways to bring in income to feed this music. So, we started selling merch and we have this whole LA line because I did a song called Lost Angels with the game a while back. That became
Yes.
like kind of like my first big song. And we made like jumpsuits and things like that. And that started really taking off. So, first it was online, then we had like a kiosk at a mall. And then eventually we graduated to like having our own store. It's in the city of
Mhm.
Glendale, which is like in the valley in LA. And it's like a creative space, you know what I'm saying? So we have like my recording studio and office is in the back. We have like a content creation studio with like a psych wall and things like that where we shoot visuals. And then we have the actual store. And just recently we partnered up with this company named Classics and we brought in sneakers. So now we got like Jordans and Yeezys and all that too. You know what I mean? So, just
Mhm.
different type of expanding the business. You know what I mean? But the Pentagon is, our label is called Pentagon Records and the store is called the Pentagon LA. And hopefully we'll have like a Pentagon New York in the future and different cities. And you know
Mhm.
what I mean? That's kind of the vision behind it.
Definitely. Definitely. I heard you say, I heard you on Sway and you was talking about the fact that you've been quote unquote him in your community for a minute now, a long minute. Um, what do you think the need is to get to the next level? Like, because a lot of people still see you as a new artist, you know what I mean? But you've been grinding for over a decade, man, and putting in the work. So what do you think you need to do to get to that next level?
I mean, it really started with, I feel like I really have music that can compete on a worldwide level now. Obviously, years ago, I thought I had it too, but when I look back now, I'm like, okay, I understand that shit wasn't
Mhm.
knocking the way, the mainstream shit is knocking. The production might have not been, you know what I mean? Even my
Right.
own delivery, I've grown so much as an artist and as a songwriter, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, I always been a dope spitter, but
Mhm.
it was kind of a ceiling to the type of music I was making. I'm still very much the same type of music, but it's just like bigger and better, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? So Honestly, bro, what it takes at this point, I don't know. I feel like everything is there. So at this point, it's just consistency and you know what I mean, keeping it going, because we in an era of like, you know, quick short attention span and like quick turnaround.
Right.
So people just want to have more and more no matter what you give them. So, you know, with this album, I feel like it's the beginning of a whole new chapter for me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like everything I dropped before this, again, there was some fire joints. You'll probably find a lot of dope shit in my catalog, but nothing is at the level of this project on its, you know what I mean, together. So moving forward, hopefully I can keep delivering this level of music and content and, you know, keep going. And of course, the relationships have built. You know, there's a lot of things I was missing when I came up when I was young. I'm from a community where nobody has ever done this. I didn't have no guidance. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I had eyes to nobody in the industry and hip hop, nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So for me to go from that to where I'm at now, where I have all these type of names on my album, all based off real relationships. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm on platforms like Sway or talking to people like yourself or on LA Leakers. You know what I mean? All these big platforms where it's all built off relationships and just putting in all these years of work before, you know what I mean? But now I got relationships, so now we got to just keep, you know what I mean, building. So yeah, that kind of answers your question, I guess. I don't know what I'm missing, but it's just more of this. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, you got it. You got it.
Hopefully the people connect to it, but I've been seeing a lot of, you know, everything's been growing pretty fast this last couple of months when I've been dropping this. So
Right.
so we on a good path, you know what I mean?
That's dope. That's dope, definitely. Who is the one artist or person or producer that pushes you to step your pen game up the most when you're in the studio?
It's a good question, bro. I don't know if there's one at this point, you know what I'm saying? It's more like me just studying the game. Like I've always been a student of the game. And that hasn't stopped. Like I consume, you know, I listen to everything that comes out, not everything, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, and especially obviously I'm into lyricism and I'm into real rap. So like when the real spitters drop, like, yeah, I'm studying and I'm trying to outdo them. I'm in competition with them without them knowing who I even am. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what pushes me, you know what I'm saying? And I listen to my own shit a lot too. I listen to my own old shit and I'm like, damn, I was nice. You know what I'm saying? Like I was hungry. I could tell like I was hungry. I was young, like as far as like really, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's where I really get my inspiration. It's not really like one person. You know, the team is very critical, you know what I'm saying? Like I always kind of like I create music and then I specifically by my man Kodo, like I play it for him when I feel it's ready to receive that criticism. You know what I'm saying? Because he's always gonna nitpick and say this can be better, this verse can be better. You know what I mean? So yeah, the team is definitely critical, but I'm kind of at a level where I really push myself. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt. I mean, I know you're a student of the craft and the culture. I remember in our last interview, you talked about like your introduction was through a family member or a friend that told you to listen to these 5 different artists. You know what I mean?
That, huh? Yep, real shit.
Yeah. Who were the 5 artists again?
Yeah, so this is when I'm just like a kid, and we had like an older family friend who used to come by. His mom was best friend with my mom. So I want to say he was probably like 20, you know, in his 20s when I'm like 10 or something. And he saw that I'm really into music and kind of into rap, but I didn't know what's what. And he sat me down. He's like, well, if you're gonna listen to rap music, you gotta listen to the real shit. You know what I'm saying? First, he played me Gangstarr Hard to Earn. That was the number one. That was the first, because he was like a DJ premier, like a Gangstarr. And this is in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, right? That was the first. And then the list was, it was Gangstarr, it was Nas Illmatic, it was 36 Chambers, Wu, it was Midnight Marauders, it was Return to Boom Bap, KRS-ONE. And then I believe the 5th one, because Gangstarr, he played it already, because he wrote down. I remember having that list like written down. I believe the 5th one was Jay with the Damage of The Sun Rises in the East.
Okay.
Like I said, he was really into like Gangstarr and that whole movement.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That whole Gangstarr foundation, definitely. Yeah, those are definitely some classic joints and classic artists
That
that
was my introduction to hip hop
that's your
as a kid.
introduction. Yeah, that's crazy.
I
Yeah.
just fell in love with it, and I kind of took it from there. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
So everything that set the bar for you early. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
discovered everyone, the Tupacs and Biggies and Snoop. I discovered all that after those. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
even though mainstream wise they were bigger, like I learned about these five before I learned about anyone else. You know what I mean? Yeah.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, you know, coming to the States, man, as an immigrant and having a background where your family tells you, you got to go to school, you got to do XYZ, and you chose to do, music. What was one of your biggest obstacles when you first got started?
Just nobody's being supportive, bro. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
nobody. Like, well, my pops passed when I was 1, so I grew up with my mom and my brother. My brother's very opposite, so my mom, everybody, uncles, cousin, like nobody got what I'm trying to do.
mm,
And all the way down to even a lot of friends, you know what I'm saying? Because again, like I came from a community that, like, you know what I mean? Like there's no Armenian rappers.
right,
And also, like, I've been doing this a decade plus. So today I feel like hip hop is a little bit more, accepting of everyone. There's
yeah,
people like DJ Khaled and French Montana, people that kind of look like me, right?
hmm,
But at this time, there's nothing like that. And even if there's white rappers, it's like Eminem. But white people don't consider us white. We obviously white, but if you ask white people, like Middle Easterns are not white. You know what I mean?
right,
My whole childhood growing up in the Netherlands was really fighting white kids because they call us the foreigners. You know what I mean? Like the
right,
society is set up like that, especially in
hmm,
Europe, even more than out here. So I kind of like, I didn't fit in nowhere.
hmm,
So that was really it. Like not having any guidance and not having any support and constantly being pulled away. You know what I mean? And constantly being told like that, you're wasting your time, basically. You know what I'm saying? And
hmm,
sometimes that gets to you. Like I was watching the Kanye Genius documentary, right? And
right,
what really stood out to me is like how supportive his mom was. Like there was a scene where his mom was rapping his verse to him. You know what I'm saying?
hmm,
And I was
hmm,
just mind blown. Like wow, imagine having that kind of support in your home. Like your
yeah,
mom is like quoting your lyrics. Like my mom doesn't understand a single word I'm saying. Like she speaks English, but rapping, like she doesn't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
come from a whole different, you know what I'm saying? Or even I was watching a new Tupac, the Dear Mama documentary, and his mom
dope
again,
documentary.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Super dope. So like it's just like I come from such a different culture where, it
hmm,
was a lot of fighting against everyone around me. Like leave me alone. Let me just do what I love. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I was reading this book by this guy named Chris Wilson. It's called The Master Plan, and it was basically about his story. He did 16 years in prison, and he had this master plan of when he came home of exactly what he was going to do to be successful. And he always talked about having a positive delusion, right?
Mm.
And that's kind of like what you had. Like you had a positive delusion, like against all odds, I'm going to make this happen. You know?
100%, bro. And like, yeah, that's so real. Like that positive delusion. I never heard it put like that, but being
Yeah.
delusional is a thing that I've been saying lately too. Like even just this album is like, if a few years ago, I had told you that this Armenian rapper is gonna have like, independently this album produced by Scott Storch, Nas on there, all these other features on there. Like
Right.
motherfuckers would look at you like, yeah, sure, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
So yeah, you gotta be delusional, you know what I mean? And like
yeah.
it's definitely the odds are against you, but that don't mean it's not possible if you really, really want it and if you really, really passionate
Absolutely.
about it. And don't get
Definitely.
me wrong, I still got a long way to go, you know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
I'm already at a level where I could finally people are saying like, okay, we see what you were saying all these years, like you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. People are starting to see the vision for real.
But
Yeah, definitely. Final question, man. What does hip hop mean to you?
man, hip hop is probably the most, powerful force to bring people together. It's been kind of like what raised me and what allowed me to, find myself. I told you earlier that my pops passed when I was young. I never really had a father figure, and I learned so much from hip hop, just about like how to be a man, really. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
certain things, that values, that's just standing up for yourself, keeping it real, quote unquote, like things like that. As a kid, like rappers and hip hop really made such a huge impact on me. It's really just guided me through my whole life. You know what I'm saying? So in one word, like hip hop is everything. You know what I mean? It's my way of life. It's how I think, how I wake up. It's everything, bro. It's the most powerful culture that brought everybody together. And
Absolutely.
that's just undeniable.
Absolutely. Definitely. Definitely. Um, like I said, this is gonna be for Validated Magazine. You're gonna be on the cover, you know. And it was funny, right? Because when we did the last interview, you know, after it was read and the staff read it and everything, everybody was like, yo, this should have been a cover story. And I was like, I told you, like this should have been a cover story.
Did we do the? I know you was at the Mint. You said right at the Webby show.
That's where we met. We met briefly. It was a bunch of people
Actually,
there.
that's not where we did the interview though.
No. We actually just did the interview online. Like I actually sent you questions.
Okay,
You
that
sent them
makes
back to me
sense.
in like audio file. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so that's how we did the interview the first time. But yeah, man, I just it's been a pleasure, man, to just watch the consistency and the growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that must have been 2018 or 2019. A lot has changed since then.
Yep.
But slowly certain things were happening for me. And actually that night at the Mint,
Mm-hmm.
my partner Alex, the guy I said that played the shit for Nas,
Mm-hmm.
so he's like a big guy in the cannabis game. He's a big money dude, young dude, a hustler. Like he was at that show. He came to like basically see me, and when I got off stage, he's like, "Yo, you so fucking incredible. Like I want to help. Like
Mm-hmm.
help your career basically." From the music game, but he's like, I know everybody. He's like, I'm mad close with the Migos. He's like, Scott Storch is my best friend. He's like, I know you
Wow.
already work with him, but I gotta sit down with him, bro. And then the next day, when I'm going to the next city, like I'm on tour, he calls me, and I've just met this guy, and I met him through Be Real, because Be Real been one of my first supporters. You know what I'm saying? Around that time, 2017, 2018, I was with Be Real like every week. And then Be Real was opening his first dispensary. It's called Dr.
Yep.
Green Thumb. Right now, it's a
Yep.
big brand. They have like, I don't know, 10, 15 locations. But at that time, he was opening his first one. Now I
Yeah,
went to.
about that. We talked about that in the last interview.
You
Yep, we
did?
did.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I really went just to like support him for the grand opening of his first dispensary. And my man Alex was his business partner. Also, he was there. So he's partners with Burner and Cookies. He's partnered with you know what I mean? He's partners with all these guys with Marathon. I was supposed to do some shit with Nipsey. He had introduced me. So yeah, he's a big guy that opened so many doors for me. And that day is basically when I really connected with him, because he was so impressed by my performance. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. So it's dope that you reminded me that I met you that day, because I didn't remember where we met.
Yeah,
But
full circle, man. Full circle. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, like I said, this will be Validated Magazine, man. When it comes out, I'll make sure you definitely get a copy. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time out, man. And like I said, man, much success with the album, much success with the growth in the career. Like you said, this is probably your best work to date.
thank you, bro.
The features speak for itself. You know what I mean? The production, Scott Storch, it speaks for itself, man. So much praise and much of a salute on the project and the fact that you sticking to the script, man. You know what I mean?
That's what it takes, bro. At the end of the day, just sticking to it, bro.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for having me. And my
No
bad,
doubt.
I had to cancel last week, but I'm happy we made it happen.
No doubt, I mean. All right, stay up, man.
Peace.
All right, peace.